All right, so I guess this is going to be our initial New England Patriots 2025 NFL draft. I'm not going to make it the 1.0 because, well, two big things. One, we don't know where the Patriots will actually pick. Like, we don't know the order of the draft yet. Now, it looks like the Patriots are probably going to be a top 5, most definitely a top 10, but it's possible they might even be, the first overall pick this year. It's looking like that. I hope not, but that being said, there's a big difference between picking first and 10th. Every single pick makes a big difference, right, in terms of the value. Obviously, that's primarily driven with, the need for quarterbacks in the league. We can get into that discussion in a little bit. But that's a big difference, not knowing where the Patriots are going to pick. We can't really say it's a 1.0 draft here. And also, we don't know what this actual draft class is going to look like, right? Now, we're going to take a look at who is draft eligible, who could be in this draft. But hey, like last year, there was a good chunk of solid players that were in day 2, really in that 3rd, 4th, 5th round that I thought were decent players. And that's where I thought there was going to be a sweet spot for picking up lots of quality players, and the Patriots should be, trying to get into that slot and try to pick up a lot of young, good talent in that area, because that's where the value is going to start to kick in. But a lot of those guys took a look at the board, or they were told, like, hey, it's looking like your guys are going to be like late day 2, early day 3. If you guys come back for one more year, just simply addition by subtraction, you guys are like, either first round or early day 2 picks. Now, come back, you get another paycheck for NIL, enter that transfer portal, get a paycheck, and automatically boost your stock by simply just replacing the guys who are just removed, and you can obviously have some more growth and development. So that's happened. A lot of these guys that are in the 1st and 2nd round this year right now, especially in the QBs, are all guys who pretty much could have been coming out last year but decided to return. And again, they've kind of just floated up by the vacuum left by last year's draft class. And they're talented. I'm not saying this is a weaker draft per se, but that's just how it works. But that being said, I don't know if that's going to be the case again this year with these guys who are kind of in that 3rd, or 3rd round to like maybe 5th round that might say, like another year and I could be, a much better position on this draft board. So those are two big things that, when we go and we start doing this draft and I'm making decisions on who to pick, keep in mind who I'm picking, the specific name might not be what we're going after. But that being said, we could also have a discussion about needs, right? We're talking about what the Patriots need in terms of positions, what's kind of the priority list here, and then also just some general strategy, right? So another thing I make note of is I'm using this NFL mock draft database simulator. I have never used this. I've always been basically a PFF guy. I love that simulator. It's very clean. Doesn't have all, you pay for it, but it doesn't have all these big advertisements. It's clean. Now, that being said, downfall of the PFF is that they don't put guys in their simulator if they haven't done the work on them, meaning they haven't assigned like grades for them. They haven't, done a full workup. So right now it's only out to 5. It's only out to 5 rounds, and they only had like, a couple hundred, almost 300 names on the list. I took a look at these guys a couple weeks ago. They have all 7 rounds, and they have plenty of names. They almost had 1,000 names, I think, when I looked. And there's some names that I guarantee you are probably never going to make it into PFF's simulator because, they're deep cuts, and they might make it after, like, if they get invited to the Senior Bowl and they have a good combine or pro day or something like that, maybe they make it onto there. Very, very end when someone says, like, hey, someone should take a look at this guy and finally get him in there. But they're not going to be able to get all these guys, and I'd like to have a discussion with these guys, with some of these names. Maybe not now, but down the road. So I'll use this for, maybe for the next couple months until finally PFF gets caught up to speed. But anyway, let's get into it. As I'm going through this, I'm going to apologize ahead, which is I'm not very well versed. I'm not efficient with this one yet and how it works, so bear with me with that. Let's take a look at their big board right now. I saw decent amount of quarterbacks here. Now, again, these quarterbacks, these top quarterbacks are all guys who could have came out last year. So all you guys who were saying, trade back, forget Drake May, I just want you to know, all these guys could have came out last year. And now, I had this, now I'll say this. I've said, I don't know where, in one of my videos, I definitely pointed out that be prepared for Shedeur Sanders to have a great year because his dad went out and went in the transfer portal and got every top, well, I don't want to say every top, but got some of the top wide receivers in that transfer portal, and it's working out. And they bolstered the offensive line. Their defense, not so much. Defense is pretty solid, but be prepared for Shedeur Sanders to be the talk of the town. Now, I was thinking the Patriots, if they didn't do if he came out, now he declared and then I think backed out, which I don't know the mechanics of that, but it looked like Cam Ward was going into the draft at one point last year. I think, he was going to transfer, then said, nope, going to the draft, then went back to transfer again, I guess, or something, or return. I forget what the sequence was there. I thought he would be what the Patriots should have went after if they didn't go after Drake May or they missed out on him. And, they traded back and, picked up obviously a tackle or a wide receiver or something like that. And maybe you can pick up Cam Ward in, say, the third round. But like I said, simply coming back, he's on Miami, slinging around to really good targets in Miami. Guy looks great. He looks like he's actually improved. Look, he's in the 6th. Carson Beck and Quinn Ewers, I thought those guys were very similar. Milroe definitely made some strides. Not that he was terrible last year, but, having the starting job from the get-go and, working against some chemistry with some returning wide receivers there. And then obviously some new guys, but they look solid too. But we need those guys to show up and justify the top pick. I think Cam Ward and Shedeur definitely deserve it. Carson Beck, we'll see if they finish out strong. Milroe will probably find a way to get in there. He's a freak athlete, so I'm sure he'll probably either get a first or second round grade. But actually, let's take a look. Sorry, I'm going to go down this rabbit hole real quick. But I want to make a note that most of these guys are, it's a deeper quarterback class. Primarily because you have a lot of guys, this is their last year of eligibility. But, Drew Aller's not a bad quarterback. Jackson Dart's not bad. Connor's not bad. Miller Moss looks pretty good. I like Riley Leonard. I thought he would be a great day 2 pick if he came out last year. Klubnik is decent. Even Will Howard's legitimate. You can get down, and there's guys who are going to be, solid quarterbacks that could be, rosterable in the NFL. Now, I'm not saying starting in any way, but there's some guys in here that could, at least be on a team next year, 53. And I'm sure there's some down here that have to take a look and be like, oh, yeah, they're even better. They're probably underrated. I really like the guy from, it's funny, Western Kentucky. Big dude, big arm. Not saying he's great, but he's an interesting guy that might make it onto a roster. But point being, a lot of good quarterbacks to pick from, just not elite, just not generational guys like we had last year. Now, that makes it interesting because if you look at the NFL, there are some teams that absolutely 100% need a starting quarterback next year through the draft. There's not enough decent quarterbacks coming up that, well, here's the thing. We'll just say it. This is a problem with last year is that, we can pick, somebody up in free agency. Now, there was one guy who was really, truly available in free agency, and he cost an enormous amount, and he's not in your timeline, right? So Cousins was not an option. Everybody else basically returned, and you actually picked up one of the better ones for the value in terms of Brissett. So you got that, but there's a whole bunch of teams right there that are kind of like where the Patriots are, where they're either their quarterback is just not, their starting quarterback is not good enough, or there's just so many injuries, and they also need a backup. Maybe you're a team that you're sitting here and you're like, we're approaching our, we have a solid roster and we're approaching our window here for Super Bowl, but after our starter, our backup guy is several tiers down. And I will say it like this, look what happened with Miami. I think Tua's a decent quarterback, right? I don't think he's great, but he's a good quarterback. But then what happens when he's gone? It's You've played yourself completely out of playoff position essentially. Now they might be able to claw back here, I guess, if Tua comes back and they go on a hot streak for the rest of the year. It's possible, but because they didn't have a decent backup quarterback, there you go. Now maybe they're not going to pick Shador or Cam or Carson Beck or Jalen Milroe in the first round, but there might be plenty of players in this mid round, right? These guys are day 2. Raiders are going to be in on them. Obviously, the Browns are going to be on some, on some of these quarterbacks. Raiders, Browns, Miami will probably be even thinking about getting somebody to replace Tua in a year or two. Maybe take Jalen Milroe, who's still a little bit raw. Maybe take him, mid rounds, trade back or something like that. But I mean, the Titans, Carolina, yeah. So there's a lot of teams out there that don't have their franchise quarterback, and they're going to take a shot at it this year. So, which is important to make note of, because the Patriots definitely have a franchisable quarterback. I don't care I don't know why you would even think otherwise, but that opens up, hey, can you possibly trade back out of the first or the first slot or the top 5 and go after a offensive tackle, wide receiver? There's also edge that is a very underrated, overlooked concern right now. And corner is another major concern. Actually, looking at these team needs, I'm not sure how this works, but I don't know if this is what they think is the top one. But this little square right here is really hurting. I know we have Gonzo, but our second guy is Jonathan Jones. I love Jonathan Jones, but he's getting up there in age. Don't know if Alex Austin can be that replacement. I like Zay Bolden, but again, you're asking a lot of guys to make big leaps or maintain a high level of play for another year or two, or you can start thinking about possibly getting another elite corner, and then you're good for a while, right? And you need good solid corners. You can't have just one guy. You need another. Obviously, wide receivers, there's a decent amount of guys on the squad right now that look like rosterable. You can put them out there. They're running okay routes. They have room for improvement. They're relatively young, but we're missing that big X. Not just an alpha 1, like the guy who's the dude. Now that, we can argue if that's even in. I think Ted McMillan has a potential to be that. Luther Burden could be that for somebody. But the big-bodied X is definitely missing. John Giles is the only guy that's your big-bodied X, and he's on your practice squad. So maybe you can find somebody to develop, but it's also, right behind quarterback and then corner. So QB, CB1, wide receiver 1 is not far off from the top. It's number 3, and then actually edge is also another concern. So this grouping right here is pretty tight. Now, the one, it's funny, down here, we don't need a quarterback, don't need a punter, don't need a kicker or a long snapper. But even in here, tight end, Hooper, not how long he's going to, Hunter Henry's getting up there in age, so it's a possibility you look for one. I know they got Jaheim Bell, but he's not really a tight end, and he looks lost. His blocking is an issue. I don't know what he's doing out there. I'm not surprised he hasn't got a lot of reps. D-line, we don't know what's going on with Barmore. It looks like he has potential to come back, but hey, even then, we're relatively thin there in many ways. Now, Farms and Roy are doing their part. Aquali looks like, he's having a strong season, but Aquali and Godchow are getting up there in age. Interior offensive line, although we've spent plenty of draft capital on interior offensive linemen, it's still not fixed. It's still not there. You don't have the right combination yet. Maybe because of injury and just how things have just been a mess, they haven't figured that out. They know what it is and it hasn't just been set into place because of this, injuries and stuff. But I think the way the offensive lines work, like coming together, I think if you find somebody in this draft that's even better than what you have right now at guard and center, you just got to do it. Especially when you think about, with injuries, the injury rate in offense, just not to the Patriots, but offensive line in general in the NFL, you just need good bodies, and it's good to have them on rookie contracts. Safety, don't know what's going on with Peppers. Hawkins is a 1-year deal. Now Mapu's looking really pretty solid back there. Still have Duggar. But, maybe Del Pettis makes the leap next year. But, hey, what happened getting like a legitimate like free safety? A guy who can come in and maybe he might be a free safety per se. He might be a deep safety, but maybe he's got some versatility to come in and play the box and also cover the slot. That's big body, especially if it's a joker tight end. Marcus Jones does a decent job, but I'm going to say he's probably not going to do great against a 6'7" slot guy. It's just the way it is. Linebacker with Bentley. McMillan's not looking great, but Bentley being out, don't sure how strong he's going to be coming back. We haven't drafted one in a while. It might be a year that on day 3, if there's somebody there that's quality, pull the trigger. So anyway, I went through a long spiel of what they need, but the reality is that I would think with the way the Patriots are in their roster rebuild, they've done capitulation. Like, they've unloaded guys who are not going to be in their timeline. They've re-signed some decent amount of like core players that are Patriots that, a lot of people will be like, oh, they're not that great. Well, they're pretty decent players. Not every single team is filled with superstars. You need a bunch of core players that know what's going on. They know the routine. They know everything about the organization, and they've demonstrated they want to be here and have been reliable players, right? You need that regardless, because going out and getting a bunch of hired guns and trying to put them together typically doesn't work. It might work for a year or two, but if you're looking to rebuild and you're not trying to make just a run on the Super Bowl, you need to have a core base of guys that are committed to the franchise, love being here, or at least are okay being here, and then bringing in at least 1 or 2 levels of core players, and then you go out and you get your hired guns for that like Super Bowl run. We're not there for the Super Bowl run. You need to get in the top 5. Now, this is how I see it. That if you take your top 5 positional players in terms of drafting, your quarterback, your primary corner, quarterback, CB1, wide receiver 1, primary edge rusher, and left tackle essentially have to be drafted. And they have to be like, not just like drafted, they have to be starting and like move the needle for your team. Now, you got Drake May, you got Gonzo, don't have the wide receiver 1 yet. Primary edge rusher, one could say it could be Keon White, but I would say you probably need more of a Leo there. Left tackle, Vidarian Lowe is there, and I'm going to say like Vidarian Lowe has made progress over the years. Now, we haven't seen him that much because he's gotten injured, and I know a lot of people are going to say, well, the whole classic, availability is the best ability, or whatever the cliche saying is. This is not like he has pulled hamstring, and has bad shoulder, and chronically gets concussions. This is like getting rolled up on. This is just injuries that are, outside of who he is as a person athletically or skill-wise, right? It's not like he's just somebody like constantly gets pulled hamstrings like, Parker did. So that's different. It's a different type of, injury prone right here. It's almost just bad luck. So, and then after that, you go back to corners again and edges and free safeties. But that top 5 almost always has to be drafted. You have to get that in. So they're, in many ways, they've got, I would say, 3, at least 2, but 3 of those positions taken care of. And that leaves us basically a wide receiver 1, a left tackle if Vidarian Lowe can't do it. And you can, maybe it's not your primary concern. You say Vidarian Lowe's done enough to say like, hey, we don't have to go out and get specifically left tackle, but you can make maybe your second priority. Or maybe you could say we can gamble and kind of trade back, and there's a few guys that we think could contend for the left tackle position, and we don't have to go out and get that specific guy, and you can gain some draft capital. So it gives you some, I think Vidarian Lowe honestly gives you flexibility if he shows promise towards the end of the year, if he gets healthy. But yeah, that and the edge, and finding a linebacker and corner is another, there's a lot of things, but let's get into it. I'm sorry it took that long, but I guess we have to go over that. Haven't moved this around too much, probably for you guys. Probably fell asleep already. Wide receivers, let's have a discussion there first. said Ted McMillan a while ago. I'm still a more Ted McMillan. I know some people love Luther Burden. His play style, I like the player. He looks solid. But his build and where he will probably do better in terms of alignment at the NFL level, we don't need. We have plenty of guys that potentially can cover those. Luther can play on the outside. He's bigger. He's actually bigger than most people think. He's like around 6 foot, but he's over 200 pounds. Like, he's a pretty hefty dude. I'd love him off the middle, but to me, Tech McMillan being like that 6'4", big, super long catch radius, deceptively quick, super smooth, big target, really reliable hands, and he looks better. The other thing is that he looks much better this year, and that's saying something compared to last year. I sneakily like Isaiah Bond. Emeka Egbuka, I'm solid on too, and Trey Harris. This whole grouping right here, I'm big on. Evan Stewart, still haven't got to see him live up a little bit more to that grade. Elick, I'm okay with. A little slow and sluggish for me. He's a big-bodied receiver, so I have to consider him. Prather, not that big on. Nick Anderson's a big-bodied receiver. Still hasn't lived up to that yet. Jalen Royals is undervalued, in my opinion. Torrey Horton's essentially a little bit bigger, Xavier Worthy. He's kind of exactly what him and Emeka Egbuka kind of remind me of what you want Tyquan Thornton to be. So I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of start to look for Emeka or Isaiah Bond in that way. Trey Harris, I mean, there's some decent names in here. It's just not as deep as last year, but it's it's not as elite as last year, but the depth is pretty good. And thankfully at the X position, it's solid. Savion Williams is a name to keep an eye on. He's a 6'4", 6'5". I like that grading for him. 105 is a good spot for him. Kyron Lacey's legit too. Ty Feltner, covered him. He's very similar to Bourne in terms of how he runs routes and he can just whip himself around. Very sudden, and deceptively strong for his size. And it's probably gonna run in the low 4.4s. Restrepo, good slot guy. I'm more of a Betch guy, Jack Betch. He's like 6'1", 6'1", but he's like 220 something. Very sturdy. I would think of him as like a day 3. If you want to pick up another wide receiver, I would go with him because of his. He's built to take hit. I hate to say it, but he can play on the perimeter, but out of the slot, he's that guy that if you want like a durable slot guy that can be reliable, good catch, and he's more dynamic than just a slot guy. But like that's where he can really make his money. Nick Nash, I've covered him. I like how they've actually graded him. Like a lot of places don't even have him even on their board. 212. Thank you. I'm really liking this mock draft database simulator. Sam Brown's legit. J. Michael Sturdivant. He played where is he? He played a little better this past weekend, but I was concerned. Like he was giving me Quentin Johnston vibes. Collins. Some of these names are having good years. DeCorian Clark, I like what he can be, but the injury is a concern. He still does not look 100%. But lots of other names in here. Maybe I'll spend some time on another maybe doing Dirt Live or something like that, going down these names. But like Ricky White at 567 is absurd. Like Ricky White is a roster bowl day 3 guy. Chris Hilton's pretty good. Mario Williams not having a great year, but Bo Collins, he might, I don't know if he's be dropped like at 627, he'll at least make a UDFA. Same thing, most of these guys down. Brew McCoy, I know his ankle was probably not 100%, but that's absurd. Like he was probably early day 3 pick last year. I have to take a look at it. I haven't seen too much on him. Maybe he's just Arian Smith is a freakish, and same thing with Julian Fleming. Both these guys, Nate McCollum, Colin Lacey's an awesome slot guy to keep an eye on. We're getting down here, and we're basically saying like these guys aren't even considered draftable, but that's a bunch of nonsense. Theo's decent too. Isaac Tesla's a freak athlete. Anyway, I'll stop it, but let's go to offensive tackle. Hello. There we go. I covered Will Campbell. I think everybody knows Kelvin Banks and Will Campbell now. The name that I pointed out pretty early on, which was Ariante Ursary, he's your actual, like, him and Kelvin Banks are your physical prototypes for offensive tackles, right? Now, Will Campbell, on the other hand, like I mentioned, and I warned people, like, he's not super long, guys. It's obvious that he's not super long. Be prepared. And it's even, you could start hearing it now, and even some of the, like, you know, Patriots, like, he's not that long in the arms. It's true. So be prepared for people to start saying he might be a guard. Now, here's the thing. You might say he might be a guard, but here's the if he plays a really good tackle at the NFL level, he's still a tackle, guys. And so what? Maybe this might be the prime situation, which is you see Will Campbell. You know that he's the best offensive lineman in the draft. That's for sure. Like, regardless if he's going to play tackle or guard or whatever, he's the best offensive lineman in this draft, period. The way he plays and moves. If you have Vidarian Lowe and you just finally need somebody to fill in that left guard position for a year until Vidarian Lowe's done or whatever, or you kick him out, or he competes for Vidarian Lowe and Vidarian Lowe can play for right tackle and there's a battle there between that and Kane Wallace, I'm okay with that, right? At least you have some versatility there. That is an option. You're at least upgrading one of the 5 positions on that offensive line immediately, and it's solid. And I mean, I can't to say it's a guarantee, but it's one of the hard things. Will Campbell will make your offensive line immediately better day one. And the fact that he can possibly be a better guard doesn't like freak me out for picking him high up. Because if he's not, just put him at left tackle. Just put him at left tackle. If he's better than your left tackle, just put him there. But if for some reason you get like a left tackle that can play left tackle and Will Campbell's miles ahead of your best left guard, you have at least a shot of putting somebody in there that can possibly play left guard. Will Campbell is that technical of a offensive lineman. Major update, Josh Simmons. I've been saying that a few times recently, that Josh Simmons, keep an eye on him. He was my top guy of like, hey, day 2, maybe you have to trade up into the first round out of day 2 to secure him so you don't miss him. But he ripped up his knee. Now, if Vidarian Lowe is a solid answer at left tackle and he's like not falling apart, maybe you go with Josh Simmons because he can play left and right tackle. And maybe he has to, I mean, he'd be probably able to play by next year, start the season. Now, nothing in the spring probably, but maybe he'd at least be able to get going in some point during the season next year. Maybe he can come in at left tackle or right tackle, and maybe he's a year or 2 of development, but he's a good, legitimate player. So that's an option to think about. Connerly, I like at pass pro, running, not so much. Ernest Green, kind of the opposite. Like, that guy can bulldoze people over. Pass pro, very shovey, overreaches, lunges type of thing. Wyatt Millam, I like him. I haven't done my video on him. Same thing with Marcus Embo. Both those guys are sneaky, like, very good technical. Same thing with Anthony Belton, who I have done. These 3 is, if Vidarian Lowe closes out looking like a starting left tackle, all 3 of these guys would be a smart day 3 pick to put there. Or possibly even see if they can play. Belton, to me, seems like he can probably be better at right tackle. Oh, they have Charles Grant. Oh, see? I'm not the only one. So for those who made, joked about me saying that this guy's probably going to be a day 2 pick, keep an eye on him. They already have him at 133. Same thing with Zabel. See? Now, I'll say this. These guys were going, oh, look, Micah Pettis, which most people were like, who's Micah Pettis? These guys know who Micah Pettis is. I like these guys. But we're looking at a lot of decent tackles, especially at left tackle. Drew Shelton probably will go back for another year. If he doesn't, that's a good day 3 pick because he can play just about any position on the line, including center. Drew Asapari, I can't remember how you say his name, but he was from San Jose State, transferred to Washington. I think he's playing right tackle. He's legit. But notice I'm coming down here, and these are guys I would love to see on the Patriots, and we're in the 300s, right? Ozzy's could be even draftable, and they have him at 742. So Jalen Travis, this far down, he's going to get a Senior Bowl invite. Jalen Travis is going to get a Senior Bowl invite, and he's not going to be 779. He'll be maybe early day 3. I'm telling you, like this offensive line class is a lot better than people are giving credit, especially on the inside. Like Jonah right now is playing right tackle at Arizona. I like him at right guard. Tyler Booker, awesome left guard. Donovan Jackson, good. All these guys that are in here on interior offensive line. Parker might be your center if you really need to get one early on. Jonah, he's played literally every assignment on the offensive line. Left tackle, left guard, center, right guard, right tackle, I believe. Not a bad pickup on day 3 if you're looking for a reliable offensive lineman. Membo I'm big on. Bryce Foster I'm huge on. He's not at Texas A&M, he's at Kansas. But these are all interior guys. Marcus Ware's an awesome guy to keep an eye on. Where's do they have Clay Webb? Yep, Clay Webb. There's our boy Clay Webb. He's one of my top 5 guys. Now, I don't think he's going to be a first rounder or anything like that, but don't be surprised if someone picks him up on day 2. 167, I don't think is a stretch. Really, I mean, technically awesome as a guard, and he was recruited originally as a center to play at Georgia. Again, Marcus Ware's a guy to keep an eye on. What's his face from Sac State is pretty good too. Logan Jones is a good center. There he's Jackson Slater. Thomas Perry, guys. Keep an eye on this guy. 289. Look at that. D3. Absolute stud interior offensive lineman. He's very similar to Clay Webb, where his footwork, his technique is amazing. Wouldn't be surprised if you see somebody pick him up and possibly even be a center for you. I wouldn't mind that at all. Playing at Middlebury, Patriots should have eyes all over him. Anyway, let's get into it. We haven't done anything yet. I'm sorry. I'll write in the notes that we're starting like half an hour into the video, finally making picks here. So I'm going to do a few here. I'm going to try and make these quick, not spend too much time. First time through, no trades. Second time through, I'm going to probably do one trade back into the first, and then the third one will be kind of just like, let's see what we can do in terms of alternatives. Maybe even a fourth one if I go quick enough, all right? I'll try to wrap this up quick. All right, so first one, I'm going to do the smart thing, and I'm going to draft Will Campbell. Oh, we got to start the draft, of course. See, I told you I'd mess up with this thing. See, I wouldn't mind this. If that's for real, I would 100% take that. But I can't, because we're going to do this first. And this is just to see if the Patriots have, it's more of like a demonstration of how many guys in this draft class I'd be happy taking. This is not a bad idea. Colston Loveland, depending on what's the wide receiver situation look like. See, I'm on the, we might want to take a corner here. I also wouldn't mind taking Tyler Warren, but that being said, Colston Loveland is a good joker tight end. So it's more, I mean, you know what? I'm going to go with Aaron Gadsden instead of Colston Loveland. Denzel Burke, or do we go with Davis? I like Takaro Davis a little bit more. Or Takaro Davis. Takario. Ooh, that's tempting. That's a big, deep free safety. Now, taking Ashton's the smarter move here. But skipping Nick is Oh, that's... I mean, people are going to be flipping out because I haven't picked up wide receiver yet. Let's take a look at the wide receivers first. Nope. Nope. Let's take a look at tight ends here. Harold Fanning. I'll see. Yeah, so I'll probably target 84 for tight end. Question is, where do I go for edge? I like Ashton. I don't think he's going to survive. Let's take a look at edge real quick. That's a good pick. He's good too. So maybe we can go to 102. Ashton is a good edge player. Yikes. It's a tough one. Because to me, I think this, I mean, Dante Corleone. The only thing about, you're going to hate. Dante had blood clots too, and I think his was pulmonary. So, I mean, he's getting back up to speed. Shamar Stewart, though, too. Xavier Watts. Yeah, it's actually before I make any big decisions. Let's take a look how much safety thins out. Sonny Styles, I can get 84. Okay, all right. So I would love to get Nick, but I have to essentially. And I love Xavier, so, but I'm gonna have to be forced to get the edge here. I think the edge is what's gonna. Although there's definitely guys in here, like Gabe Yakis I would love. John Pius would be good, and these are, UDFA, but. All right, I'm gonna go with here. I'm gonna go here. That's probably the smart move. So I'm gonna have to either go tight end or wide receiver here. Harold Fanning would be interesting. Actually, let me take a look at tight end, see where we can get Aron Gadsden. If he's still in here. Yeah. So Aron, we'd have to get 144. I also don't mind. I would love Mitchell Evans. I could also possibly go after Bryson Nesbitt at 216 if he's still available. So hold off there. Savvy's probably what we'll do at 102. And if I miss, like, Juice Muhammad's good too. It's Juice Swells and Moose Muhammad are also legit big wide receivers. Not that they're amazing, but the thing about Torrey Horton is that speed. But Savvy is also speed and size. So what do we do now? I'm gonna take a. All right, let's do one final assessment here. We have a corner. I like Ollie Gordon, but I'm not taking a running back right now. Wyatt Owen mind taking, that would be a really good security. And then also, let's look at offensive tackle again, because I need to get a right tackle as well. I could possibly go after Belton again if someone's around 140. All right, so I guess I'm gonna have to make a. Maybe we go with Fannin right here, and that way we don't have to worry about. You got your big joker tight end, and if we miss on a big wide receiver, I'll go with Aron Gadsden later on, or Bryson Nesbitt. At least those guys can play on the perimeter. Harold's definitely more of like an H-back with like Joker split out, but he's not fast enough or dynamic enough to really play like a perimeter wide receiver, which is fine. We don't need that. We need kind of like a reliable receiving tight end. We also need a big inline guy, but right now, besides Lachey and Tyler Warren, which, you know, we'd have, like, based on this, we'd have to get him in the third, which I'm not really like comfortable with that. Oh, maybe we can get him right here. I thought he was gone already. That was a big mistake by me. Yikes. Nick Singleton here is a good pickup. Sonny Styles we have not done yet. I forgot about the safety. Oh, I'm failing on this one already. But I'm going to go with Savvy right here. And then we're going to have to make a decision on a safety, interior offensive lineman, possibly even a linebacker. Jay Higgins, if he's still available. He won't make it. Oh, wait. He did. Yeah, we're going to go with Jay Higgins. Game, set, match. Jay Higgins making it to day 3 is criminal, but we'll do that. 100%. That's basically your best middle linebacker in the draft. Now, it might not, you know, people might not think that once we get down to it, but all right. So next we have Weil. Missed out on Clay Webb. Missed out on probably a Ron Gadsden. So maybe I'll go after. Gotta look for running back. Gotta look for D tackle, safety. Actually, it tells us right up here, right? So maybe Thor Griffith here for D tackle, safety. Might be SOL there. Running back, I don't know. But we got 3 more picks. You know what? We can probably go after what's his face from Middlebury for that 230 if we need to for an interior offensive lineman. Oh, Lathan Ransom. There we go. All right, some names in here. Oh, wow. I forgot about Raheem Sanders. You know, he got injured last year, but he's much better than probably what they're giving credit for. Offensive tackle. Is Micah Pettis still available? He is. So maybe we go Pettis, Thor. Let's take a look at safety. Oh, Kenyatta Watson. Cole Wisniewski. Oh, Kenny Gallup Jr. Yes, that is Kenny Gallup's son. Very freakish. Definitely not going to be 362 when it's all said and done. But not saying like these guys are great. Lathan Ransom's obviously a very talented safety. That might be a smart one just to grab right now. Let's take a look at D tackle. Like run stuffer, Riley Mills or Thor Griffith. I have to take a look at him. Now that D line at Alabama, there's a lot of rotation in there, so I miss those when I'm watching those games. I don't really see it so much, but Riley Mills, Thor Griffith are definitely dudes that plug up the middle and have good pass rush ability too. They're not just like, you know, pylons, pillars or whatever. Also take a look at tight ends. Ooh, Mitchell Evans is still available. That's interesting. I think I'm gonna go with Micah. I mean, I like Gray's Apple, trust me, but Micah is a big right tackle. Like, he is right tackle all the way type of right tackle. Yeah, I'll hold off on that. So I'm going to go Micah, Thor probably, and then see if we can find a safety or... Actually, let's take a look at interior offensive line. I have to make sure I'm not missing out on somebody who can play guard or center. Logan Jones, I can do that. Logan Jones is legit. I can pick him up at 230 and be happy with that. I mean, Ben Brown looks like he's got something, and he's young, so maybe, you know, that's kind of... We'll just see. Actually, you know what? We'll just see what we got. It's either going to have to be safety or... It's kind of hard to pass up length and ransom right now, though, too. Sorry that I'm taking this long, guys. I kind of promised this to be quick, but... Yeah, you know what? The tackle thing, let's just be honest. Like, the tackle thing needs to be addressed. And here's the other thing. Like, say I'm ultra worried about interior offensive lineman. Again, let's talk about the fact that he could possibly play a guard position for you if you need to. Micah Pettis is a right tackle. I'm going to do Micah Pettis. We got that, and oh, they took Lathan on us. Oh, I was gonna say maybe we could actually get to that. Actually, probably, you know what? Thinking about it, that was probably a bad move because I could have gotten Micah Pettis still. Jane Higgins is still up. Oh, that's like an easy pick. And Ron Gadsden. Let's see if we can find... Oh, yeah, we're going to go after Thor. Sorry. So far, so good, I think. It's not perfect. 230. So, safety. Maybe even a running back if there's one, a decent one still available. Now, I want a Ron Gadsden, but now I'm thinking about Mitchell Evans at 6'7" could be your inside guy. He doesn't block that great. Like, he does great out of the slot. He's a big end zone target. I mean, Harold Fannon's not a small dude, but he's definitely, you know, he's very Jono Smithy. He's probably exactly what you want out of Jaheim Bell, but, like, he's definitely a better route runner and has much better hands. That could be the one where I'm kind of like, I'm kicking myself, but the guy's good. I'm sitting here, I'm looking at these, what's left. I mean, he's one of my favorite guys in the draft, but maybe it's just too hard to pass that up. All right, let's take a look at safety here. I mean, one could argue you can go heavy with UDFA with one of these safeties. Like, there's some decent guys in here at safety. Bud Clark's a good safety. Major Burns is a good one. Like I said, the guys up at the top here are solid. Kenyatta Watson is looking really great. Cole Wisniewski's a huge deep free safety. He's like 6'5", I think. Yeah, I might have to go with Mitchell Evans here. Yeah, I think that's gonna be the smart thing to do. Now, it's a little bit heavy on tight ends, and you're probably like, why would you draft two tight ends? Well, one, they're different players. Like, Fanning is a big target, and so is Mitchell Evans, but one plays more of an H-back, fullback sniffer, and split out guy, and the other guy is more of like inline or split. So different body styles, different parts of the field you'd be targeting them. I think Hooper will be gone, and Jaheim Bell, might be very similar to Fannin, but Jaheim Bell needs to figure out what he's doing. I need to see something from him, and trust me, I thought he was going to be like a 4th or 5th rounder last year. I'm glad they got him where they got him, but he's got to show some development. Otherwise, you can't have that part of the roster just kind of like, not producing for you besides Hunter Henry and then Hooper every once in a while. All right, let's try this again now. This one I'll try to do a little bit faster just because I'll know the board a little bit better. But this one we're going to start with actually trying to trade back. So probably more likely scenario. Not great offers. This one kind of sucks. Much like the one we got earlier, but let's go with it. That one could argue. Now, maybe I can use that to draft or use that as capital to trade around. Okay, so let's see what we got here. That I might do if I don't like what we have. And that would give us some massive draft capital. But let's take a look what we have here. Luther Burden, still on the board. James Morrison would be a great... I said keep an eye on this guy. Now look, he's probably going to be a Heisman. Could I trade back and still get Isaiah Bond plus some more? Pick up some... Yeah, let's try that. I trust me, I like Luther Burden, and I also would love to get James Pierce. Actually, let's take a look if his... Oh, he's gone. I was going to say, I wonder if Abdul Carter's still on the board. Scourton or Jack Sawyer. Like, these guys, I think, are worth a first round, and I wouldn't hate them doing that. If that would, honestly, Edge is the only one I would like for them to go after in the first round if, for some reason, they were able to get, like, Higgins. And, like I said, if you can get Higgins and all of a sudden Badarian Lowe looks like he can at least hold that spot, you can maybe get a left tackle in the second, and you need to get like a needle mover. I mean, besides wide receiver, Edge is next. So I don't hate that. So what I'm going to do is actually take the Bills unless someone's got a better offer. No, that's definitely better. Plus, we'll do some more picks. You guys get to see what we got. So we're looking for... Amika Ibuka I'll take. Starks I love. Same thing with Kenneth Grant, but we can't do those guys right now. I'm going to go either Amika Ibuka or Ariante Ursary. Is Trey Harris still on the board? Yeah, he is. Okay. To me, that would be prime. Now, I'm not going to go crazy. Now, he ripped up his knee, so he's probably... I think it was within the first 4 games, so I'm pretty sure he's going to come back. I'm going to go with Davis again. Perkins ripped up his knee. Getting Danny Stutzman. What else? What's my next pick? 62. And then I think I'm going to go Tyler Warren and then maybe hold my breath that we can possibly get Stutzman later on. See, to me, Tyler Warren is that guy. Yep, you know what? I'm going to do it. That's good. Now I can go after Ron Gadsden much later. That's what I would love. We missed out, but... Oh, they had Hairston in here, too. Shoot. I would have held off if I knew I can get Maxwell Hairston later on. I would have done something different there. Would have went after Trey Harris. Nope, not going there. Yeah, actually I like that a lot. I like that a lot, because then I'm going to go Aron Gadsden, I think, later on. Or Bryson Nesbitt. I can do Restrepo too. Or Betch at 173, maybe. Nick Nash is also legitimate. I think I might go. I'm going to chance 136, and if Restrepo's there at 141, I'm going to go with him. Don't get me wrong, these guys are good, but I'm going to see what else we can get at 136 that might be a little bit more of a priority. Possibly another edge. I don't know much about him, so I'm not going to pick him. I might be missing out on somebody that might be actually quite good. I have not watched too much Northwestern. Mike Green I've watched. He's dynamic. Did we pick up our linebacker yet? We did not pick up our linebacker yet. So once again, I'm not going to mess. I'm going to pick up. I mean, Dante Lawson I'd love to take as well, but so now I'm going to see if I can get another slot guy here. Restrepo's still there. Now what's the gap after this? The 61 or 69. I think I'm gonna skip, and depending on what's there. Restrepo, I don't think there's a massive difference between these guys. Like, Restrepo's a little more dynamic, but he's a little quicker. He's definitely quicker, but the first step, like Betch in like the first 10 yards, is what makes him like freakish. What are we gonna get? D-tackle. Shamar Turner, 155. Yeah. I don't know much about Jordan Phillips, I'll be honest. So we're gonna hold off. Safety, we have corner. Edge is taken care of. I know running back is a concern, but I'm not freaking out about it. I think I might go Xavier Restrepo maybe and just call it a day. No, I'm not. Sorry that I'm going back and forth here, guys. This one's supposed to be faster, but it's not. More picks, more problems. Maybe go Carmona? He could be a great right tackle. Smail Mondin is a good coverage linebacker. Same thing with Dumas. All right, so I'm gonna go. I think I've talked myself into Restrepo. Nope, I can wait for Nick Nash or Jake. I'm sorry, I'm going back and forth here. Do I really think about taking a running back or a D lineman right now? It's like I just don't want the headache. Wait, did someone actually draft Clay Webb? Look at that. Look at that, someone did. Huh. That's nuts. Come on, come on, come on. There you go. Okay. Going Gadsden. There's your big dynamic tight end in conjunction with your comprehensive guy, and then what else? How much more do we have here? Three. Sam Brown, Jaden Higgins, I can do for a big-bodied X receiver. I'll do him probably the last pick here, or Sturdivant. So Sturdivant. Let's take a look at corners here. Not a lot of like great slot guys right now that I know of, but he's pretty good. I might have to go with Harris. That's actually a pretty good pickup at this point. These, I'm getting sick and tired of these useless pop-ups. Like I mean, I know you need to get the money, but I can't. I'm not. Oh, Kobe Bryant was there. Ay, that was a good pick. I mean, yeah, you know, can we please stop? Running back, Gray Zabel's still on the board. Sorry for taking forever. My computer is not liking this. Yeah, I think I go Gray's Oval. It seems like that's a good pick. And then we're going to go... I can't believe Mitchell Evans is still out here. I guess Logan Jones would be a... Thomas Perry would be the DFA pickup for interior offensive lineman for center potential. Yeah, alright, so we'll look for Jay Higgins and then go from there. I mean, one could argue that, again, he's registered as a tight end, but Ron Gadsden fits that play style. Oh, RJ Oben's still open. He's still there. Interesting. Actually, let me take a look at linebackers. Any of them have... He's a beast. I love that guy. Alright. Crazy. A lot of these guys are going to have to go back. Sorry this is taking forever, but now it's like I want more picks to get all these guys. Can't get 3 quote-unquote tight ends. Safety. Guess, you know what? Riley Mills would probably not be a bad pickup, huh? Joshua Farmer's pretty good too. More of a pass rusher, but Davin Van, oh, as a pass rusher, him at 318, that's absurd. All right, I'm gonna end it here. I give myself okay grades on these. The second one with all the trade backs kind of got too cluttered, but you know, maybe we'll just do one more, and it'll be really quick, and it's actually going to be kind of a contrarian way of doing it. It's actually something... Yeah, let me do that. Probably not too far. Actually, did anybody... No offers. You know, maybe we do. Let's. I'm not Travis. I like Travis Hunter as a player, as a college player. I just don't know if he moves the needle for you on as a corner or as a wide receiver as a first round pick. He's going to be good for somebody who needs a good nickel, and obviously could ball hawk a little bit with his hands, and maybe he adds some depth to it. The Chiefs would be a great example of, or who else would be good for him? Oh, like the Texans, man. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of teams in there that would love to have that. No offers though, huh? All right. Well, I was gonna do Abdul Carter, which it's gonna be a bad one, but I wanted to do this because edge is a problem, and he's played linebacker, so he's played linebacker now. He's shown some potential edge this year. The question would be, can you still come up with a decent draft if you do something else besides wide receiver or tackle? Jalen Walker. Ooh, could have done him. Could have done Jalen Walker, who's more of an edge guy anyways. Oh, yeah. See, I still have to get the Caro. I think he's a first rounder. But that alleviates the linebacker and edge. I'm just still going to take him here. Patrick Payton, not bad there. That's not a bad pickup for him this late. I might do that. Let's just do that for fun. Hold off for Charles Grant, I think. Like, I like Embo, but I'm gonna hold off. Yeah, you know what? Let's go with Nick Anderson. With hopes that he develops a little more into something a little bit better. Thank you. What's interesting is when you start off a little shaky, you don't know what you want, and then as you move through it, it's like kind of interesting how I think we're doing better as we move into it further and further. Like, we're getting better value as we move deeper. When we started off, this is kind of rocky to a certain extent. Like, you know, I'm not saying we need to get Abdul Carter, but, like, you know, drafting a running back earlier on like this is a little off. But I mean, this is turning out. I like this. We're moving. We got left tackle, right tackle, good, solid play safety, just a versatile safety there. Probably the best tight end in the draft. One of the best receiving tight ends in the draft. A big-bodied X receiver. I think he's got potential. His numbers this year are not that great. Arguably one of the best running backs. Definitely the best defensive player in the draft overall, I think. Yeah. I mean, I'll walk that back a little bit, but definitely up there. 216. Now, what are we missing that we haven't done yet? D tackle. Okay, I'm gonna hold off on Riley Mills. Jaheim Otis. Yeah, I guess someone took. It's always right. I was gonna say look up because I guarantee it's the one right before. There's Thor Griffin. Damn. All right. Shoot. You know, Otis is good. I'll take him. That's not a bad pick. You know, RJ Oben's probably not a bad pickup either. Let's take a look at wide receivers. Oh, and we'll take Jack here. That's a hell of a draft. Now that's interesting. It's like kind of started off kind of rocky, but let's talk this through. Like again. Played linebackers first few years at Penn State, now has moved to edge. So you're looking at either linebacker with edge rush capability or you're looking at speed rusher. Two things the Patriots desperately need. You know, O'Shane Zimenez didn't do it with his knee. We'll see. Maybe he's got something, but there's your answer for two positions: defense, run blocking, or pass, run stopping, and pass rush. Done. Solid first round talent corner getting the second. Can't pass that up. That's just a rule. Tyler Warren, big inline tight end that will allow Hunter Henry to play out split for another year or so. Gives you a big blocker on the inside. Helps with blocking. Obviously, that's something the Patriots are desperately needing. Hampton probably are the one kind of vanity pick here. A little too early for a running back considering you have Stevenson. Gibson looks like he's pretty good too, and Hasty's got, you know, he can do his thing, but Amari Hampton would probably be just a good value pickup at 66. Nick Anderson would be your Project X, I guess. Fanning, big joker tight end / H-back sniffer. Charles Grant, developmental left tackle. Saab, good full service safety. Pettis, big road grading right tackle. Otis, just a solid D lineman. I can't say anything besides that for him. And then getting Jack Betch this late would be a massive steal. That would be your more durable slot guy. That way, you know, Douglas isn't going out there and getting his head ripped off on some of the more tougher routes, and you can put him in there to get separation. And, you know, move the sticks in more explosive plays. And you can put both of them in at the same time. Like, Betch is a bigger dude. He's like 215 or 220 at 6 foot. So he plays very well for a slot, but he's not limited to that. So anyway, he's just got that route running ability. I'm going to leave it there. I know this went on way longer than I expected, of course, as always when you do these. But I hope you guys saw some names in there. I will spend some time. I'll probably maybe do some lives where we kind of roll through this and you guys can see the name. I saw lots of guys that are, I don't think they're like, you know, graded in here perfectly, but, you know, there's some deeper cut guys that gives you some, you know, potential, let's just say hope that not only, like, if when you get through the draft and you're looking at it, you're like, oh, we completely missed here. I think this draft will probably have a good UDFA class as well to consider, so we should have that conversation too, because it also goes into the idea that, hey, you know, the Patriots just need to get good players. So if they didn't pick up, say, like 3 wide receivers in the draft, don't worry, there's some out there. Or they only pick up 1 tackle, there's going to be some out there. They didn't pick up a center, there's still going to be some out there. Fill in the blank for almost everything this year, and I'm sure there's going to be some viable UDFAs that they could bring in if they choose to do so anyway. All right, I'm going to leave it there. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you guys like this content, of course, please like and subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching.